I don't like this shit. I don't like living out here. I don't like not having any sense of direction in my life or purpose. You live it, you learn, right? It all comes from somebody's childhood. Children need love. They need love and... Sorry, I'm getting emotional. They need love, and it's not good to surround the children with hate and... Man, I'm not expected to cry over this. I'm sorry.
Very personal and intimate film of storytelling. I was just truly touched and honored to hear his story and for him to be so vulnerable, to share his pain, and it gave some greater understanding of systemic issues underneath it all with foster care system, with our war on drugs. And I hope that people who watch the piece maybe have a second guess at some of the nuance in the people's lives who they see who are experiencing homelessness. Because it also really just showed a deep humanity, and I think it was due to the comfortability that he had in sharing his story, which big kudos to the filmmakers for creating that environment. And I just thought it was extremely well crafted, especially in guiding us through the places where he spends his time as well.
Having Eric's commentary over shots of him in his daily life worked really well because not only are we learning things from his narration and what he's telling us about his hardships in his life, but we're also seeing how his life is now and what he has to deal with as a homeless man. I thought that his character was also very interesting, especially as he's talking about feeling lost and feeling like he doesn't know what he's doing, where he's going. But then also you see in his actions and his words that he still has that lust for life and he still has hope for the future. He still has a passion for not only making a difference in his own life, but hopefully making a difference in other people's lives that are in his same situation. So he still has this spark, even though, you hear how much he's gone through, which I thought was really powerful to see from someone, really inspiring. So with seeing his daily routine while he's talking, he's saying things without talking as well.
It did a really good job of conveying this genuine sense of emotion without being too in your face or being overly sentimental or overly depressing in its presentation. I thought that that presentation was appropriately kind of frank. It helps to endear the audience to IRIC and to kind of ground the entire film, which is something that I really enjoyed about it and something that stood out to it for me. Is how grounded it was, and this can be attributed, at least in part, to the film's visuals, which they're not dull by any mean. I mean, they are quite good, but they don't go out of their way to be too bold or too grand. They don't try to distract the audience. They're more straightforward and kind of plain, but in a way that's still visually appealing so that you can focus more on the more straightforward one-to-one human story that the film is focusing on.
We see men like Eric and women in any major city in North America. And it's sad because we have the resources to deal with the homeless, to deal with people with addictions. But it's a matter of bringing those resources to bear. And where I think this movie provides a ray of light as to how to address this problem is understanding the people who are suffering addiction and homelessness as just people who are not crazy. They're basically like you and I, but fallen on hard times. And the humanity and indeed the normality of IRIC is what you notice in this film.
Really exposing what the foster care system was like for him and how his experience was going through it and coming out of it. And I think it's a really beautiful way to show parts of the system and parts of, you know, the kind of broken system. And I think that we like to, as a society, believe that no kids are kind of left behind and that, you know, kids have all this hope and, you know, such great futures that they, you know, they have all their lives ahead of them. But this is a great way to show that that doesn't always happen, and that there are kids that just get put into situations and get moved around and don't know what's going on and don't have that same kind of childhood and don't have that same kind of resources and don't get taught some of the things that, like, you learn so much outside of school, like as you're growing up, from your kids, from your friends, from your parents. And, you know, it's an interesting way to kind of look at some of those gaps that don't get filled in for some of these kids that are in the system. I thought it was a beautiful, beautiful movie.
It really just served the purpose of telling this IRIC story, which is a really disheartening and also inspiring one. And I mean, we all have unique and interesting stories. This film does a great job at telling this one in a way that absolutely gets us to sympathize with IRIC and really, for me personally, wanting to do more. It was a good reminder to be thankful for what we do have and how we could be doing better as a society. So in the end, I'm glad that IRIC's found a place to stay, and hopefully that works out and things continue to look better. But there's so many more stories like his out there. And again, this film just served as a good reminder of that. So I think it's important that it's out there in the world, and to just remind most of us, a lot of us, that again, that we could be doing better.
It was about this homeless guy named Eric, and he's living on the streets, and he kind of tells his whole life story about what came to that moment in his life, what that process and that journey in his life. Overall, it was well done.